The grandstand at Hard Rock Stadium had seen its share of drama, but nothing could have prepared the crowd for what unfolded on that humid Miami night. Magda Linette had just pulled off the upset of the tournament, stunning world number 2 and 6-time Grand Slam champion Iga Swiatek in a 3-set thriller. The Polish veteran was flying high, riding a wave of momentum that had carried her past one of the sport's giants. But standing across the net was a 20-year-old Filipina who had learned something in the past year. Eala had been here before, the big stage, the pressure, the expectations of a nation. And when the final point landed, when Linette's forehand found the net, it wasn't the Polish veteran who was celebrating. It was the young woman who had just announced that her breakthrough was no fluke. Eala raised her arms, looked to the sky, and the sea of Philippine flags in the stands erupted. The girl who had captured the world's imagination 1 year ago was back, and she was just getting started. The grandstand at Hard Rock Stadium was buzzing with an energy that had nothing to do with the Florida humidity. Just hours earlier, Magda Linette had pulled off the unthinkable, stunning world number 2 and 6-time Grand Slam champion Iga Swiatek in a 3-set thriller that sent shockwaves through the tournament. The Polish veteran, ranked number 50 in the world, had ended Swiatek's remarkable streak of 73 consecutive WTA tournaments without an opening match loss, a run that dated back to 2021. "I have not felt like that for 5 years," Swiatek admitted afterward, her voice heavy with frustration. "It just was a bad match for me in the second and third sets. I need to work to get back from that." But for Linette, the victory was a career-defining moment. At 34 years old, she had proven that she could still compete with the best. She had beaten a 6-time Grand Slam champion on one of the sport's biggest stages, and now she was riding a wave of momentum that would have carried most players straight into the next round. Standing across the net, however, was a 20-year-old Filipina who had learned something in the past year. Eala had been here before, the big stage, the pressure, the expectations of a nation. She had arrived at this very tournament 12 months ago as an unknown wildcard ranked 140. She had left as a semifinalist, having defeated 3 Grand Slam champions in succession. She had climbed from outside the top 100 to a career-high number 29. And she had no intention of becoming another footnote in Linette's comeback story. Before the match, Linette had spoken highly of her young opponent. "She has improved so much," Linette said in a post-match interview with the Tennis Channel after her win over Swiatek. "I played her at the beginning of the year, so I know what I'm up against, and I will just try to do my best again. I know it's going to be a tough match. I have so much respect for her game." But respect aside, Linette was ready. She had won 12 tour-level matches in 2026 heading into Miami, with 9 of them going to a third set. She had outlasted tennis legend Venus Williams in Auckland earlier in the season. She had stamina. She had mental toughness. She had the momentum of the biggest win of her career. None of it would be enough. The first set was a study in controlled aggression. Both players held serve through the first 7 games, with neither giving away cheap points. Eala's first serve percentage sat at an impressive level, and she was winning the majority of her points, allowing her to stay level in extended baseline exchanges. Linette, for her part, matched the Filipina shot for shot, her experience evident in every calculated rally. But Linette's statistics from the first set told a troubling story. She had 15 unforced errors in the opening set, compared to just 7 for Eala. The Filipina was simply more consistent, more patient, more disciplined. The turning point came in the 8th game. Eala seized her opportunity, breaking Linette's serve to take a 5-3 lead. It was the only break she needed. She closed out the first set 6-3 after 40 minutes, her efficiency on full display. "I think I matured a lot in the past year," Eala would later reflect. "I've been put in a lot of high-pressure moments, a lot of big stages, which I'm so grateful for and wouldn't trade for the world." The second set, however, would test every ounce of that maturity. Linette refused to fade quietly. The Polish veteran, who had just stunned the tennis world by defeating her compatriot Swiatek, dug deep. She raised her level, applying relentless pressure on Eala's return games. After getting on the board in the third game and taking a medical timeout for back discomfort, Linette clawed her way back into the match. She earned her first break in the fifth game and surged ahead, 4-3. The momentum had shifted. The crowd, which had been solidly behind the Filipina, began to sense an upset in the making. Eala was forced into a chase. Trailing 5-4, staring at the possibility of a deciding set, she had every reason to panic. The nerves that had plagued young players on this very court could have overwhelmed her. Instead, she showed composure beyond her years. "I think I matured a lot in the past year," Eala had said. Those words were not just post-match platitudes, they were the truth. She refused to overhit, refused to let the moment overwhelm her. She held serve to force a tiebreak, winning a remarkable 76% of her second serve points in the process. The tiebreak was where Eala truly announced her arrival. She attacked Linette's second serve, dictated early in rallies, and surged to a 3-0 lead before the Polish veteran could catch her breath. When the final point landed, Linette's forehand finding the net, the scoreboard read 7-2 in the tiebreak. Eala raised her arms, looked to the sky, and the sea of Philippine flags in the stands erupted. The final score? 6-3, 7-6, 2. 1 hour and 48 minutes. The statistics from the match reveal a performance of remarkable efficiency. Eala finished with a break conversion rate of 40%, 2 of 5, while limiting Linette to just 1 break, despite the Polish veteran earning 5 breakpoint chances. Her 76% second serve points won percentage was a career best on this surface, a testament to her ability to neutralize rallies even when her first serve wasn't finding its mark. The contrast with their previous meetings was striking. In their 3 prior encounters, the Polish veteran had held a 3-0 advantage, with wins in Abu Dhabi in 2024, Nottingham in 2025, and their first meeting at the 2025 ASB Classic. But Eala had clearly done her homework. She had adjusted her tactics, stayed patient, and refused to be drawn into Linette's rhythm. The victory evened their head-to-head record at 2-2. Eala's efficiency was particularly impressive given the circumstances. Linette had just beaten the world number 2. She was riding a wave of confidence that had carried her past one of the sport's giants. Many players would have been intimidated. Eala was not. "She has improved so much," Linette had said before the match. After the match, she had little to add. The Polish veteran, who had been so vocal in her celebrations after stunning Swiatek, walked off the grandstand with her head down. She had given everything, her back, her energy, her will, but it hadn't been enough. Eala, for her part, was gracious in victory. "I know she's a great player," she said. "She just came off a huge win against Iga. I knew she was going to be tough. I just tried to focus on my game and trust my preparation." The words were classic Eala, humble, composed, focused on the process rather than the result. It was that same composure that had carried her through the second set when the momentum had shifted against her. It was that same composure that had allowed her to seize control in the tiebreak. After the match, Eala reflected on her growth over the past year. The words revealed a player who had learned to handle the pressure, to embrace the big stages, to be grateful for every opportunity. "I think I matured a lot in the past year," she said. "I've been put in a lot of high-pressure moments, a lot of big stages, which I'm so grateful for and wouldn't trade for the world." That maturity was on full display throughout the match. When Linette surged ahead in the second set, when the momentum shifted, when the crowd sensed an upset in the making, Eala never panicked. She stayed patient. She stayed focused. She trusted her game. The victory marked Eala's second straight win over Linette, following her 6-3, 6-2 triumph in the quarterfinals of the ASB Classic earlier this year, her first victory in their head-to-head after 3 previous losses. The progression was clear. Eala had figured out how to beat the Polish veteran, and she had executed the game plan to perfection. She has a very complicated flat ball, Rafael Nadal's uncle Tony had once said of Eala. She has known how to manage the difficult moments very well. Those difficult moments had come in bunches against Linette, the medical timeout that disrupted her rhythm, the break that shifted momentum, the pressure of serving to stay in the set, and yet Eala had navigated them all. Her reward? A fourth-round clash with 13th seed Karolina Muchova, a former French Open finalist who had just captured the Qatar Open title in February. It would be a stern test and a chance to finally break her 0-11 record against Czech players. But that was a challenge for another day. For now, Eala allowed herself to savor the moment. She had beaten a player who had just stunned the world number 2. She had advanced to the round of 16 at the tournament where her journey began, and she had done it with the same grace, humility, and fighting spirit that had made her a national hero. The victory over Linette set up a round of 16 clash against 13th seed Karolina Muchova, a former French Open finalist and one of the most complete players on tour. Muchova had cruised through her own third-round match, dispatching British qualifier Katie Boulter 6-3, 7-5. But the statistics were daunting. Eala had never beaten a Czech player in her professional career, 0-11 and counting. The Czech tennis pipeline had produced some of the most technically complete players in the world, and Muchova was no exception. She mixed spins, slices, drop shots, and net approaches, forcing opponents out of their comfort zones and into uncomfortable decision-making patterns. "I'm excited for the challenge," Eala said. "She's a great player, but I've been playing well. I'm confident in my game." The match would prove to be a bridge too far. Muchova dominated from the opening point, winning the first set 6-0 in just 24 minutes. The Czech converted all 5 breakpoints she earned and won 52 points to Eala's 26. The final score was 6-0, 6-2, ending Eala's Miami Open run in the 4th round. But the loss did not diminish what she had accomplished. She had defeated a player who had just stunned the world number 2. She had advanced to the 4th round for the 2nd consecutive year. She had proven that her breakthrough was no fluke. "I'm still really happy about this week," Eala said after the loss. "Of course, leaving the court today a little disappointed, which is normal, but overall, very happy with my performance this week." The clay seasons stretched before her: Linz, Stuttgart, Madrid, Rome, Roland Garros. The ranking points she had earned in Miami would help her climb back toward the top 30, but more importantly, she had shown that she belonged. The girl who had captured the world's imagination 1 year ago was back. She had stunned the Miami Open, she had left Magda Linette speechless, and she was just getting started. Magda Linette had just pulled off the upset of the tournament, stunning world number 2 Iga Swiatek in a 3-set thriller. The Polish veteran was riding a wave of momentum that would have carried most players straight into the next round, but standing across the net was a 20-year-old Filipina who had learned something in the past year. Eala showed composure beyond her years, dispatching Linette 6-3, 7-6-2 to advance to the round of 16 at the Miami Open for the 2nd consecutive year. The victory was her 2nd straight over the Polish veteran, following their meeting at the ASB Classic earlier this season. Eala's efficiency was remarkable. She finished with just 7 unforced errors in the first set, compared to Linette's 15. She won 76% of her second serve points. She held her nerve when Linette surged ahead in the 2nd set, forcing a tiebreak and dominating it 7-2. "I think I matured a lot in the past year," Eala said. "I've been put in a lot of high-pressure moments, a lot of big stages, which I'm so grateful for and wouldn't trade for the world." The victory set up a 4th-round clash with 13th seed Karolina Muchova, a former French Open finalist. Eala would fall to the Czech in straight sets, extending her record against Czech players to 0-12.
But the loss did not diminish what she had accomplished. She had proven that her breakthrough was no fluke. She had shown that she belonged on the biggest stages. The clay season stretched before her: Linz, Stuttgart, Madrid, Rome, Roland Garros. But for one night in Miami, Eala had stunned the tennis world, and Magda Linette was left speechless. What do you think about Eala's victory over Linette? Can she finally break the Czech curse on clay? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe now for daily WTA news, match breakdowns, and stories that go beyond the scoreline, because every day is match day.